Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with programming the Raspberry Pi operating system. And the first step would be to choose the operating system. I just choose the default. There are others you could try, but these basically just add more code that isn't necessary for the Node-RED application. So go back to the Raspberry Pi, load that one. Choose the storage location for it, which in this case is an SD card plugged into my computer. And then let's turn off hostname. We're going to use the default hostname, and SSH and password is going to be turned on. We're going to use make it a secure system, so we're going to choose a username and password that's different than the default. And if you have a Wi-Fi network, you can plug in the SSID values, which include the password. If you don't have a Wi-Fi network, or if it's blocked, you're going to have to use the serial or the Ethernet port. And then we just have some locale settings and some other settings. You press the save button and then just press the right button. And this is going to take a while, so we're going to skip past a lot of this. After it's finished writing the SD card, we remove it from the computer. We, with the power off to the Raspberry Pi, we replace the card that is in there, the SD card is in there, and power it up. It's going to take a while for it to boot up. On this first initialization, it's close to 2 minutes. So what we're going to do is in the meantime, we'll open up PowerShell and get ready to connect via SSH, but for now let's just skip past it while it boots. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes, so let's try to see if we can SSH in. We're going to use the username that we gave during the initial setup of the SD card, and Raspberry Pi as the device name, which is the default device name. Now, what it's doing is it's trying to connect. Okay, so this message right here that you're seeing says that I've previously used my computer to communicate to that particular device, but notice I've programmed it with a new operating system. That's given it a new certificate, a new signature. So what I need to do is I need to go into the signature file, which is different locations on different computers. You saw it prompted up there on the PowerShell screen. But I need to go in there, I need to open up that file, I need to edit out or delete the line that was associated with this device, save it, and then when I go back and try to do an SSH, then it won't recognize that was previously connected. It'll ask me if it's acceptable or not, and I say yes, and then it logs in. So you're logged in with the SSH. Now, the first thing that we need to do after we've logged in is we need to do the Raspberry Pi configuration, because we have to turn on VNC so we can come into it through a graphical user interface. And to do that, first off, we need to go to the display options, VNC resolution, change that to 1920 1080, and then go to the interface options, turn on VNC, and once it's enabled, then we also go back to interface options and turn on the SPI interface, just so that we have the ability to communicate to this product via SPI. And that's it. We click Finish, and it's going to reboot. And again, we need to wait. We don't need to wait the full 2 minutes on this one, but we need to wait a little bit of time. So I'll go ahead and speed up. So now, after we waited a little bit of time, we're going to try to log in. Okay, it looks like we're going to be logging in. So the next thing we need to do is we need to modify a file. It's called cmdline.txt. It's located in your boot directory. This is necessary because VNC on this Raspberry Pi is extremely slow for certain operations. So I found a Reddit article that said if you add this statement to the end of the cmdline.txt file, you will put it back into normal speed. So we do. We add this video equals HDMI, etc., etc. Save it, Control O, save it to the file, and then Control X will exit out of the program. And now you got to reboot again for this file to be executed by the machine during startup. So we'll wait again. Okay, so now that we're back, we log back in, verify we can log back in, so we're ready to start up VNC to see if we can get in and start installing certain libraries that are necessary for this device to run. So go up here to open up the browser, and it takes a moment for it to, on first use, to come up, and we're going to change this to wlmio.com. And then we click the hamburger menu, or it may not even be a hamburger menu if the screen's wide enough. And let's go down to your 30,000 document, which is your software startup document. And once that pops up, you'll see that it talks about loading this program called libwlmio. And so we're going to go to the GitHub site. We're going to go grab the latest version, which is right here, 1.2.2. And it puts it into the downloads directory. And you can sort of see it behind the gray there. But so then we're going to install this. Now you notice that it's calling for 1.0.0-1. We've got 1.2.2.2. So we're just going to basically change into the download directory where we've downloaded the file. And then we're going to, then we do a quick directory of the file so we see the file name. And then we just copy paste the statement, but we're going to change the revision from the 1001 to 1.2.2.2. And you notice there's an underscore at the beginning, underscore at the end where it used to be dashes. And this doesn't take too long. Okay, we're done. So next thing we're going to do is go back to these other statements about the CAN bus, which you can certainly do at this point. But what I've done in the Node-RED program that I wrote was I added these statements into the program so that when the Node-RED program starts up, it automatically runs these programs or these statements, which essentially enables or re-enables, if it's already been enabled once, the CAN bus. So we go to the Node-RED statement application note, and you see that we're going to load in another file, an libgpiod-dev. Also, it says we're going to load in npm. We're not going to do that. One of the problems is that Node-RED doesn't work with the version of npm Node Package Manager that is installed with this statement, so it fails. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just install the library by itself. And then when we install Node-RED, Node-RED has there's a script or a bash statement that allows you to install the version of npm that Node-RED wants. So we're going to go ahead and do that next. So there's the script on the screen, right there. And it's kind of long, so copy paste, but it's right there in the application note, so no problem. And then you're just going to go through and answer questions. Yes, I do want to install it. This is right here is going to take a little bit of time, but basically I'll go ahead and just speed up the video at this point too. Okay, at this point, Node-RED has installed, and we're ready to customize the settings if we choose to. And I'd recommend that we do. At the very least, we need to put some user security in there. But just go down here to where it says, are you ready to customize? Say yes. Settings file you can change. User security you want to change. Give it a username. Give it a password. Password has to be at least 8 characters long. Full access. Do you want to add another user? No. Project feature. This is the embedding Git inside of it. I just say no for now. Don't change the name of that. Don't encrypt it. Default for all the rest of the different questions. So now we have configured it. Now we're going to retrieve the project-specific Node-RED information. Remember, the back couple of steps, I talked about how we need to enable the CAN bus. And I said, well, you can do that right now, or you can wait, and I have some code inside of a Node-RED application. Well, that's what we have here. So what you would do is, I'm just going to go through and download it off of my Gmail, because that's the other interesting thing. How do you get files on and off of the Raspberry Pi? One of the easiest ways I found was just to log into my Gmail account and transfer them, onto or off to using email. But go get that file, download it, and get it ready. We're not going to actually install it yet. What we have to do is after we've retrieved the file, and it's stored as a JSON file, we're going to start up Node-RED. So anyway, we continue, and you can see here in the email, blocking out my emails. But once I determine which file email has the file I'm interested in, I click on it and retrieve it, and then I download the file. And then once I have the file downloaded, remember this is on the Raspberry Pi machine, so it's inside of the downloads directory. So if I start Node-RED at this point, what I can then do is let's move the screen back over here. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the browser, and we're going to go to localhost :1880. So it's port 1880. And with us typing Node-RED into the prompt, we get Node-RED running here. So type in your credentials that you entered when you were configuring it. Remember, we put in user security, and you can save it or you're not, either way. And when this program comes up, you can go through a little what's new kind of a thing. We want to go to Manage Palette on the hamburger menu. Under Install, we want to type WLMIO, and then from there we want to install that palette. And when we've done that, it will put all the I/O card specific functionality into Node-RED. So we'll be able to talk to the analog cards and the digital cards and all the different signals that are coming across that CAN bus backplane once these libraries are installed. And once that's done, the next thing we're going to do is, well, it shows you which palettes or nodes are being added to the palette. We'll go over here and we'll do an import, and we're going to import that code that we downloaded using the email program. And it's down in the downloads folder, and there it is. We open it up and put it as a new flow and import it in. And it imported two flows. The one flow is the main program. The other is the initialization code I talked about earlier. Yeah, I'll just delete since I didn't need that flow one. So here's the initialization code, and then there's also the demo. And you saw on the other page what the demo program looked like. So we deploy it, and once it's deployed, we can bring up a debug menu, and it'll show what's going on. So now what I've just now done is I've sent all the CAN bus initialization, and now this is my the main program. And so if you take a look at the debug window, that little picture of a bug right there, you scroll down to the bottom of this list, you can see that the values are being updated once a second. That's what I've got it set for. And so as I turn the knob on the potentiometer, the different colored lights, LEDs, turn on and off. And so that's how that works.